Hey guys, Brockshot here. Back with you with the next video in our series, Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Without further ado, returning to Great Expectations. He was gobbling mincemeat, meat bone, bread, cheese, and pork pie all at once, staring distrustfully while he did so at the mist all round us, and so often stopping, even stopping his jaws to listen, some real or fancied sound, some clink upon the river of breathing of beast, a river or breathing of beast upon the marsh, now gave him a start, and he said suddenly, "You're not a deceiving imp. You brought no one with you. No, sir, no. Nor give no one the office to follow you. No." "Well," said he, "I believe you. You'd be but a fierce young hound indeed, if at the time of your life you could help to hunt a wretched warmint, hunt it as near death and dunghill as this poor wretched warmint is." Something clicked in his throat, as if he had works in him like a clock, and was going to strike, and he smeared his ragged, rough sleeve over his eyes. Pitying his desolation, and watching him as he gradually settled down upon the pie, I made bold to say, "I'm glad you enjoyed." "Did you speak?" "I said I was glad you enjoyed it." "Thank ye, my boy, I do." I had often watched a large dog of ours eating his food, and now I noticed a decided similarity between the dog's way of eating and the man's. The man took strong, sharp, sudden bites just like the dog. He swallowed, or rather snapped up, every mouthful, too soon and too fast. And he looked sideways here and there while he ate, as if he thought there was danger in every direction of somebody's coming to take the pie away. He was altogether too unsettled in his mind over it to appreciate it comfortably, I thought, or to have anybody to dine with him, without making a chop with his jaws at the visitor. In all of which particulars he was very like the dog. "I'm afraid you won't leave any of it for him," said I, timidly, after a silence during which I had hesitated as to the politeness of making the remark. "There's no more to be got where that came from." It was certainly of this fact that impelled me to offer the hint. "Leave any for him? Who's him?" said my friend, stopping in his crunching of pie crust. "The young man that you spoke of, that was hid with you." "Oh, ah! He returned," with something like a gruff laugh. "Him? Yes, yes. He don't want no victuals." "I thought he looked as if he did," said I. The man stopped eating, and regarded me with the keenest scrutiny and the greatest surprise. "Looked? When?" "Just now." "Where?" "Yonder," said I, pointing. "Over there, where I found him nodding asleep, and thought it was you." He held me by the collar, and stared at me so, that I began to think his first idea about cutting my throat had revived. "Dressed like you know, only a hat," I explained, trembling. And, and, I was very anxious to put this delicately. "And with the same reason for wanting to borrow a file. Didn't you hear the cannon last night?" "Then there was firing," he said to himself. "I wonder you shouldn't have been sure of that," I returned, "for we heard it up at home, and that's farther away, and we were shut in besides." "Why, see now," said he, "when a man's alone on these flats with a light head and a light stomach, perishing of cold and want, he hears nothing all night but guns firing and voices calling. Hears. He sees the soldiers with their red coats, lighted up by the torches carried afore, closing in round him. Hears his number called, hears himself challenged, hears the rattle of the muskets, hears the orders, make ready, present, cover him steady, men, and is laid hands on, and there's nothing. Why, if I see one pursuing party last night coming up in order, damn 'em with their tramp tramp, I see 100, and as to firing, why, I see the mist shake with the cannon.
Arter, it was a broad day. But this man, he had said all the rest, as if he had forgotten my being there.
Did you notice anything in him? He had a badly bruised face, said I,
recalling what I hardly knew I knew.
Not here,
exclaimed the man, striking his left cheek mercilessly with the flat of his hands.
Yes, there. Where is he?
He crammed what little food was left into the breast of his grey jacket.
Show me the way he went. I'll pull him down, like a bloodhound. Curse this iron on my sore leg. Give us hold of the file, boy.
I indicated in what direction the mist had shrouded the other man, and he looked up at it for an instant. But he was down on the rank, wet grass, filling at his iron like a madman, and not minding me or minding his own leg, which had an old shaft upon it and was bloody, but which he handled as roughly as if he had no more feeling in it than the file. I was very much afraid of him again, now that he had worked himself into this fierce hurry, and I was likewise very much afraid of keeping away from home any longer. I told him I must go, but he took no notice, and so I thought the best thing I could do was to slip off. The last I saw of him, his head was bent over his knee, and he was working hard at his fetter, muttering impatient imprecations at it and at his leg. The last I heard of him, I stopped in the mist to listen, and the file was still going. Chapter 4. I fully expected to find a constable in the kitchen, waiting to take me up. But not only was there no constable there, but no discovery had yet been made of the robbery. Mrs. Joe was prodigiously busy in getting the house ready for the festivities of the day, and Joe had been put upon the kitchen doorstep to keep him out of the dustpan, an article into which destiny always led him sooner or later. When my sister vigorously reaping the floors of her establishment.
And where the deuce have you been?
Was Mrs. Joe's Christmas salutation, when I and my conscience showed ourselves. I said I had been down to hear the carols.
Ah, well,
observed Mrs. Joe.
You might have done worse. Not a doubt of that, I thought. Perhaps if I weren't a blacksmith's wife and, what's the same thing, a slave with her apron never off, I should have been to hear the carols, said Mrs. Joe. I'm rather partial to carols myself, and that's the best of reasons for my never hearing any.
Joe, who had ventured into the kitchen after me, as the dustpan had retired before us, drew the back of his hand across his nose with a conciliatory air, when Mrs. Joe darted a look at him, and, when her eyes were withdrawn, secretly crossed his 2 forefingers, and exhibited them to me, as our token that Mrs. Joe was in a cross temper. This was so much her normal state, that Joe and I would often, for weeks together, be, as to our fingers, like monumental crusaders as to their legs. We'll go ahead and stop there for this week, As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as it greatly helps the channel. Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.